Chair recognizes Mr. Hultgren of the state of Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, in 2006, you testified before the Rising Above the Gathering Storm panel. You said, and I quote, "In funding ARPA-E, it is critical that its funding not jeopardize the basic research supported by the Department of Energy's Office of Science. The committee's recommendations are prioritized, and its top recommendation in the area of research is to increase the funding for basic research by 10% per year over the next 7 years." End quote. Mr. Secretary, you said that. That's your quote. Those are your words that you said. So I want to take a look at the chart that we're going to put up on the screen, breaking down your budget request, and I believe the committee can also put a copy up so everybody can see it here. This is a chart that we put together. It's maybe a little bit difficult to see, but I'll walk through it with you quickly. It shows your request for percentage changes in various programs on the vertical axis. And on the horizontal axis, it shows the range of research activities from basic research, which is on the right, below the line, to applied research bordering on state industrial policy on the left. Those numbers show a pretty clear story. Fundamental science research is cut, and the president's industrial policy is boosted. How can you, with a straight face, tell me that you haven't funded the president's pet projects and industrial policy at the expense of fundamental research?
Well, as your chart shows, we're seeking a 2.4% increase in the Office of Science. The Office of Science is what we call our basic research program within the Department of Energy. The request is for roughly $5 billion. ARPA-E is just a beginning new program, and the request was for a very much smaller amount, $350 million. And so if one puts into perspective of those two budgets, we still remain very committed to funding the Office of Science, which is our more basic research programs.
Well, again, I think as you go through the ones on the right and going further to the right, I see FermiLab, which is very important to me. I've heard my colleagues on the other side of the aisle also talking about research facilities being slashed. FermiLab, 8% cut. Other pet projects, again, getting that increase. But again, this discrepancy of almost a 30% increase versus 2% versus minus 8%. I don't know how you justify that with your own statement that says you were looking to increase basic scientific research, which is our national laboratories, by 10% per year, and yet here you're cutting it by 8%.
Well, you're now talking about the FermiLab specific request budget. What we are trying to work through is a plan to go forward in terms of the long baseline experiments, and also what we're trying to work out and how to go forward in the deep mine in South Dakota. And so again, if you can look at percentage increases or you can look at absolute dollars. And when we look at the absolute dollars of the Office of Science, we have increased that budget, and I am very, very supportive of increasing that budget. ARPA-E, again, it's very small compared to the Office of Science.
Well, I want to work with you on making sure that we follow through on that. What I see with some of the projects there, specifically dealing with South Dakota, is it's on life support right now. I mean, it is barely enough to keep it operational. And then we were talking about this with Dr. Hultgren last week. The steps of this budget, it's on crutches right now, and we are breaking the crutches away from that project with this budget. I'm fearful of that because I really think we are going and taking something valuable away to our kids and our grandkids. The great opportunities that we've had to pursue science and basic scientific research, we are failing our future if we undercut that with these projects. I'm passionate about FermiLab, but I'm passionate about other laboratories that I don't represent as well and want to see that same commitment there. I recognize the FY 2013 budget is constrained with so many pressures, discretionary spending caps, but this imbalance seems to represent a definite and indefensible trend to retrench on discovery science and promote more applied research. You neglect to balance the portfolio, which leaves fundamental discovery science in disarray. And I just wonder, is this the proper direction for the department when investments in basic scientific research really underpin the nation's science and technology enterprise?
Well, very quickly, I would say I agree with you. The Office of Science is a very important part of our program, and We want to see that budget grow and increase, and does form the underpinnings of everything that leads to, including all the underpinnings of the companies that are using discoveries in the Office of Science in energy, clean energy, renewable energy, ARPA-E. And the Office of Science does form the basis of all that.
Well, I hope we can follow through on that and see. I think we're seeing that clearly there is money there, and there's money that doesn't have to be taken away from some of this basic scientific research, and we can bulk up that amount. Mr. Secretary, I do thank you for your service, and I do appreciate the ability to be able to discuss things, but it really does seem clear to me that this is an anti-science budget aimed at pushing short-term political agendas. I really do believe it's going to hurt our long-term economic competitiveness, our scientific enterprise, and our country. With that, I yield back.